This weekend, we are getting one of the 3 major events of the year, and it is Pokemon GO Tour. And this GO Tour is going to be filled with a lot of very important stuff you will not want to miss out on. So for this video, I'm going to be going over some of the best tips that you could utilize to get the absolute best experience. Alright, how's it going everyone? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So this weekend is the GO Tour event, and for a lot of players, this is going to be one of those events where they're going to go all out. Now, if you want yourself the absolute best experience, you're going to want to prepare yourself in a variety of different ways, and you're going to want to make sure you're doing certain things during the GO Tour event so that you can get every single Pokemon that you want. You're going to be able to complete all of the raids, and overall just have a really good time. But before we get into all of the tips and tricks for maximizing your play, let's go over the details for the GO Tour event, and then afterwards I'll be sharing some of the things you could do to get the best experience. For this info, I'm going to be referring to the infographic made from PokemonGoHub.com, and they have a lot of really great content creators, so make sure you go and check them out. Now, this event is going to be from March 1st until March 2nd from 10 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. local time each day. And this event is not going to require any kind of ticket purchase, although there's going to be a couple of things that will be available for purchase that you will want to consider. The first of these is going to be the availability of Shiny Meloetta, which you can obtain from purchasing a Masterwork Research ticket. I believe it costs only $5 USD, so if you want this shiny mythical Pokemon, you will have to fork over a little bit of money. Now, also during this event, you're going to be able to get certain costume Pikachu in the wild and also through field research, and you'll also be able to obtain Shiny Sigilyph, Maractus, and Bouffalant for the very first time, and they're going to be available in 10-kilometer eggs. Speaking of egg hatching, there's going to be a half egg hatching distance bonus during this event, and you're going to be able to do up to 6 special trades per day. And then Stardust costs for trades are going to be cut in half, so you should definitely utilize your special trades during these events. Now, let's talk about the wild spawns. It's going to be very similar to previous events, where you're going to have rotating habitats every single hour. During the hours of 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., we're going to have the Winter Caverns habitat. It's going to feature a whole bunch of different various water types and ice types, but also includes Pokemon like Axew as well as Drillbur. And then from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., we're going to have the Spring Soiree. This habitat is going to feature a whole bunch of various grass types. And then from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. and then 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., we're going to have the Summer Vacation habitat, and this is going to feature a whole bunch of fire types. And then from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., we're going to have the Autumn Masquerade habitat. Now, if you use incense during this event, you're going to be able to get some of the unknowns. They're going to be the U, N, O, V, and A unknowns, and of course they spell out the word UNOVA. And then in terms of field research task rewards, you're going to be able to get some of the various Pikachus wearing the new costumes, as well as Basculin and Deerling. All of these Pokemon do have the potential to be shiny, and they're definitely going to be something you will want to focus in on. Now, something of note is that when it comes to 2-kilometer eggs, 5-kilometer eggs, and 10-kilometer eggs, you will be able to get Larvesta, and this is probably going to be your one way to get this Pokemon. So if there is a collection challenge that involves getting a Larvesta, then you will want to make sure you're hatching eggs as often as you can. And then finally, let's talk about raid battles. Within 5-star raids, you're going to see both Reshiram and Zekrom. And then in 3-star raids, you're going to have Druddigon, and then in 1-star raids, you're going to have all the various costume Pikachu. And then, even though it is not listed in this infographic, we're also going to be getting both Black Kyurem and White Kyurem in 5-star raids, and that's how you're going to be able to get the fusion energy for both of these Pokemon. Once you complete them, you're going to have encounters with regular Kyurem, and if you're able to get yourself a 100% IV or a shiny, as well as all of the fusion energy that you need, then you're going to be able to get the powerful fusions Black Kyurem or White Kyurem. Alright, so with all the details out of the way, let's talk about how you can have the best Go Tour experience. The first thing I want to talk about is, of course, the Tour Pass. Now, regardless if you're doing the free version or you purchase the deluxe edition, you may have noticed that every single day since the Tour Pass went live, you were limited to getting only 150 points per day. Well, they did that on purpose because the reason why the Tour Pass exists is because they want to drive up engagement over this weekend during the Go Tour event. So yeah, if you want to get yourself the rewards at the end of the Tour Pass, you will need to go all out during this weekend. And I suggest you just play as much as you can. It's actually really not difficult to get all those points. Just do a whole bunch of Pokemon catching as well as a whole bunch of raid battles and queue up a whole bunch of eggs to be hatched, and you'll be able to complete the Tour Pass no problem. And up until the Go Tour event, I suggest you try to maximize on those 150 points per day so that you have a bit of a head start once the Go Tour event begins. Now, something that is extremely important for this weekend is that you go to a high population area. This could be a major city or a town with a lot of gyms and Pokestops, and this is mainly because you will want to be in an area where you're going to be able to play with other trainers. And then on top of that, you will want to make sure there's plenty of Pokemon spawns as well as Pokestops for you to continuously restock on Pokeballs. That's going to be incredibly important for this weekend because that's going to determine whether or not you maximize your play. You're going to be able to get more Pokemon, you're going to be able to keep your items in stock, and then when it comes to raid battles, it's extremely important that you constantly have groups that you could jump into. And speaking of raid battles, let's talk about that next. So, raiding is going to be the core aspect of this weekend. I could almost guarantee it. Whenever they do these sort of special events like Go Tour and Go Fest, raiding often gets emphasized the most. And it's going to be no different this weekend because they're going to be releasing the fusion forms of Kyurem, and that means you need to stock up on as much fusion energy as possible, and hopefully you'll be able to pick yourself up a high IV Kyurem. So you're going to find yourself doing a whole bunch of raids this weekend. I really do think that if you have a whole bunch of raid passes, you should hold off on using them until this weekend and try to get yourself a raid group that's going to be doing a whole bunch of raids around the clock. Something you should note is that the raids are going to be constantly rotating, and every single gym is essentially going to have some sort of raid every single hour. So you will want to make sure you're in those high population areas with a lot of gyms and a lot of players around you, because you're going to constantly want to jump into raids as often as you can. Raiding is going to be so important this weekend, and you want to make sure you utilize every single raid to the best of your ability, because this will be your only opportunity to get fusion energy for a while, and you do not want to miss out on that. It's going to require a ton of fusion energy to get yourself either black Kyurem or white Kyurem, so you're going to want to do as many raids as possible during this weekend. Next up, let's talk about the Pokemon during this weekend. So if you have a couple of holes in your Pokedex for the UNOVA region, this is going to be your best opportunity to fill those holes, mainly because there's going to be a whole bunch of UNOVA Pokemon around the clock. You want to make sure that you check your Pokedex before this event starts and look for the Pokemon that you still need to get to complete your UNOVA Pokedex. If there's any Pokemon that you still haven't caught, even if it's regional Pokemon, you will want to utilize every single one of the different habitats in order to fill up those Pokedexes. And if you need to get candies in order to evolve certain Pokemon in order to fill your Pokedex, then make sure you do that as well. This is a really important thing because very often a lot of Pokemon do not make their way into Pokemon Go for quite a while unless they're part of a seasonal rotation. So this will be your opportunity to fill in your UNOVA Pokedex, and you do not want to miss out on that opportunity because it might be a while before that particular Pokemon ever makes it back to Pokemon Go. Now, something you should also keep in mind is that during this weekend, there's going to be various collection challenges around catching different UNOVA Pokemon, and I would suggest that you complete these collection challenges as soon as possible. The best thing you could do is to just focus in on catching every single one of the Pokemon that are required for those collection challenges, so that way you could just get it out of the way and you do not have to worry about it. The one thing that a lot of players do is that they just neglect the collection challenges and just think they're going to complete it as they go along, and then by the end of the event they end up missing out on one or two Pokemon. I really do think that you should avoid this by just focusing on the collection challenges right off the bat. so that way you just simply do not have to worry about them and you can collect those nice rewards. And then once you complete those collection challenges, then I would say that you should focus in on certain Pokemon every single habitat hour. There are going to be certain Pokemon that are going to be more valuable than others from a gameplay point of view or in terms of just getting bonus Stardust. Like for example, there's Pokemon like Trubbish and Audino. Those are going to give you a ton of really good Stardust. And there's also Pokemon that are going to be good from a gameplay point of view, like Dino as well as Axew. Those are Pokemon you need to focus in on during these particular habitat hours. And just, I would say that you should do a little bit of prior research with every single habitat, see what Pokemon are spawning, and then make a list for yourself on what Pokemon you're gonna go after. That's probably one of the best ways you could best utilize every single habitat, and it's something that I typically do with every single one of these special events. Now, something important that I would like to mention, and it's something that I do predict a lot of players are going to completely forget about, is the fact that you're going to get up to 6 additional special trades during this event. And that is actually very important because on top of you being able to meet a bunch of trainers that you haven't seen in a while that you're probably lucky friends with, a lot of people are going to have that brand new lucky trinket from completing the deluxe tour pass, and I do think that it's important that you communicate with a lot of these players because utilizing these special trades to the best of your ability, getting a whole bunch of lucky trades in, that's going to maximize your experience. Trust me on this because a lot of players that I talk to, they utilize those special trades and they end up getting themselves hundos and shundos of some of the most powerful Pokemon, and it's really because they're actually able to utilize all 6 of their special lucky trades. And I really do think that's something you should consider doing this weekend. Make sure you preemptively communicate with your lucky friends to see where they're going to be at, and if you can meet up with them and utilize those special trades to get yourself some really powerful Pokemon, that's definitely going to make your entire Go Tour experience that much better. And I promise you, this last tip is not a plug by any means, but you really need to get yourself one of these. This is a Pokemon Go Plus Plus. It is an auto catcher. It's an official licensed product from Niantic and Nintendo. And I really do think that if you have one of these, you're gonna have one of the best Go Tour experiences. The reason why I say that is because if you're focusing on raid battles or completing field research or various other things, you do not want to spend your time just sitting there catching a whole bunch of Pokemon. But if you have one of these running in the background, you can complete your collection challenges. You could get yourself a whole bunch of candy and Stardust from catching all the various Pokemon, and then you could just focus your energy on completing raid battles and all of the other activities with this Go Tour event. I really do think that when it comes to these special events, if you have one of these, it makes the experience so much better. Trust me on that. I've been doing these for the past several years, and having one of these has definitely made the events that much better. So yeah, if you want to get yourself one of these, there is a link, like a product link, I think somewhere around here or here, I don't know, but I will put a link to one of these that you can get for yourself. But I really think that if you already have one of these, just simply do not forget it and make sure it is fully charged the night before. But yeah, that's essentially going to be it for this video. I really hope you found it to be helpful, and if there's a particular tip that I completely forgot and you feel like deserves to be mentioned, make sure you say so in the comments down below. Yeah, it'd be really good if we could all help each other out so that everyone in the Pokemon Go community can have a great experience this coming weekend. It's definitely going to be one of the major events, and the only way that Pokemon Go can get some momentum out of it is if people have a great experience, right? So make sure you share your thoughts and comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it to be informative. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload Pokemon Go videos just like this one. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in the best way possible, that's always going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you become a paid Patreon member, I will add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids and the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then do consider joining my Patreon, the links to which are in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you're always welcome to do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one. 진솔아와 함께해